On today's motor show, look out, the Ford Lightning is here. Two taxi drivers turn off their meters for a change and test two new regal chariots, the Rover 75 and the Jaguar S type. Rally race day is here. Oh my God. Ginny learns some professional driving techniques and we go posing in three of the finest coupes around.
Not many years ago, this was the most popular form of transportation in the States. But in the year 2000, how things have changed. Poor Mendez here would be out of a job because now they prefer to get around in something that has rather more than one brake horsepower. Come on, off you go. Goodbye. The Lightning is the latest beast to bolt out of Ford's stable. Now, it's based on their F150 pickup truck, which is into its 50th year of production and, amazingly, is the world's best-selling vehicle. This year alone, Ford will build 500,000 of the F150 series. And they'll need to do, because in the States, every other vehicle sold is a good old pickup truck. This Hoover Dam on wheels is the work of the boys in Ford's Special Vehicles team, who clearly have a rather good sense of humour. What they've done is taken the regular F150 pickup, they've pumped it full of steroids, they've added a host of sophisticated gadgets and prized a 5.4 litre V8 under the bonnet. The result is something that could only have come from America. And only in America could they come up with a pickup truck that can out-accelerate a Ferrari. Really. This thing may look like the motoring equivalent of giant haystacks, but that is where the similarities stop. The Lightning's supercharged engine belts out 360 brake horsepower. It'll get you from 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds and has an incredible top speed of 139 miles per hour. Which, if you ask me, is all a bit of a waste really, when it's sold in a country that has a speed limit of 55. But as long as you can keep it under control, then the Lightning is the perfect vehicle to cruise in. Remember, it's been designed for a very picky American market. A market who wouldn't be interested unless it had a plush interior, electric everything, cruise control, air conditioning, and of course cup holders. All as standard for £20,000. So do you fancy playing cowboy? Are you thinking of dashing off to buy one of these? Well, hold on to your horses because it's bad luck, I'm afraid. You see, the Lightning is only available in the States and they've all been sold. And what about this one? Well, rumour has it that Ford's star rally driver Colin McRae has had a go in it and he thinks his Focus is due for a trade-in.
The S-Type marks Jaguar's first real attempt to get out there and chase those mainstream sales, which makes it all the more surprising that they should turn out something so boldly styled when you might have expected perhaps a more typically bland Euro box. It harks back to the delightfully rakish Jaguar Mark II of the 60s, and it's available with either a 3-litre V6, it's actually a Ford engine, or a more proper 4-litre V8. The Rover 75, it sailed galleon-like onto the market last year to much acclaim, and it was hailed as the answer to the prayers not only of the folks at Rover, but also to those company car drivers forced to choose their next chariot from a restrictive and frankly rather boring list. It's smaller than the Jaguar, significantly cheaper than the Jaguar, and actually aimed at a different market anyway. So why do they both look exactly the same? I don't know really, but if there is anything to choose between them, then it's down to our two real people for this week to find out. We've flagged down two taxi drivers and asked them to turn off the meter and swap their cabs for our two luxury cars. Let's see what our first cabbie, James, makes of the Rover 75.
I find the car very smooth. It's a comfortable driver. It's a car that you could do 400, 500 miles in a day and probably get out and not feel too tired in. It's got a very classic look about it, but it's a car that you would expect to see an older person driving. The acceleration is the one thing which I found very poor in this. From a taxiing point of view, it'd be hopeless.
The look is nice, it's kind of retro. Kind of a fusion going on really, because it's modern, but yet old. The handling, so far it's nice. I've definitely got the power beneath my feet there. If I had 30,000 disposable income, I'd want to check a few more cars out just to compare. It's like taking the princess out, you know, it's just like taking Miss World out, you know, but the only thing is you can ask for it back, aren't you?
It is interesting that both cars should go for a retro look, but whereas the Jag goes back to the 60s, the Rover perhaps goes back to the 50s and maybe even further to the old pre-war Rover 75. Anyway, it's time for the big changeover, so let's have everybody out of your cars. We've each driven one. Time to drive the other one. I hope nobody's made a mess in the back of my motors there, boys. Just before you swap over, let's find out what you thought. Phil, you've been out in the Jag. What did you think?
Oh, it's lovely. It purrs like a pussycat.
You like it?
Yeah.
Positive verdict. So let's find out, James, you were in the Rover. What do you think?
Comfortable ride, but not everything I was hoping for. A little bit disappointing.
Let's see what you make of the other. There's the Jag for you and the Rover for you.
Cheers, thanks.
Let's swap over. Have a go on the others, and it's time for round two.
Not bad, is it? You put your foot down, it instantly picks up. Totally unlike the Rover. You're buying into the status of Jaguar, aren't you? And that's got to mean a lot. I know I'd much rather be seen driving a Jaguar than I would seen driving a Rover.
It seems a lot heavier than the Jag. It's not as smooth. It's not got the same purr. The look of the car's quite nice. It's quite classy. Very similar to the Jaguar. I wouldn't really like to have this as a taxi, to be quite honest. Maybe for airport runs. Quite nice on the motorway, quite sturdy. But I wouldn't like to be doing U-turns in this car. It just seems a little bit sluggish.
Just before we hear the guide's final conclusions, here's a point worth bearing in mind. Okay, the Jag is the more expensive car. But if you were to pick, say, an entry-level Jag, that'd be about £28,500, and a top-spec Rover, that's about £25,500, about £3,000 in it. But after 3 years, with experts predicting that depreciation will be less of a problem on the Jag, it'll mean that the Rover will have cost £16,000 and the Jag £50,000. So look at it in those terms, the Jaguar could be the cheaper car. Anyway, let's find out what our two guys think. What do you reckon? Which one, Phil, are you going to put your plates on?
Oh, it's got to be this baby.
It's got to be the Jag.
Definitely without a shadow of a doubt. It's smooth, it's classy. What else can I say? It's just beautiful.
So for you, it's the big cat. James, what about you?
I'm afraid it's a cat for me.
Really? Why?
Well, it's an exciting drive, it's smooth, it's comfortable, it's just a beautiful vehicle.
Okay, well look guys, thank you both for being our test drivers for this week. I can't give you the car, but as a special treat, you're always driving everybody around. I'll drive you, I'll be the taxi driver. So in you get a lift for the taxi drivers. Where do you want to go, by the way? Blackpool. Blackpool, that shouldn't be a problem. Should get there in no time. It's race day, and I'm nervous, far too nervous to talk to the film crew right now. There's just enough time for a quick chat with Pete, some last-minute instructions and reminders, and then it's a short drive down to the first stage. And before I know it, I'm leaving the start line in my very first rally.
4, 3, 2, 1, go.
I had hoped that my initial panic would be replaced by an icy calm as soon as I left the start line. I was wrong, it wasn't. My brain was frantic with things to remember.
I just lost where the clean stuff was.
Couldn't not too sure where you were looking. Cheers. Thank you.
But other than that,
that was good.
Smooth.
Yeah, that was good.
That's terrifying. That really is quite unutterably frightening. I need a cup of coffee. I need a bucket of coffee. I'm starving as well. While we were having a service break, some teams were not so lucky. I just hoped that we wouldn't crash as we set off for yet another stage.
2, 1, go.
Through the last of the 12 stages, the weather was not helping. We were losing visibility and light, and things looked grim. When you're going round, you're just thinking of not crashing, staying on the track. The thing's moving around all the time, even going as slow as I am, and I don't doubt it doesn't. From the outside, it probably looks like it's just driving around, but inside, you just think, when do I brake? Do I brake now? When do I start braking? It is quite frightening. And I thought it would stop being frightening, but it doesn't. I'm still frightened. The last one, I enjoyed. That's as close as I've got to enjoying it. It's, I felt actually in control of what was happening a little more. I will definitely say I have at no point thought, oh, I wish there was more power, which goes to show the difference between a learner and somebody who knows what they're doing. Because of how somebody can take a 2, 3, 400 bhp car through that, I don't know. But I wouldn't want to do it for a second without two things. One, having gone to rally school first. And the other thing I wouldn't want to do without is an experienced driver as navigator. Without Pete there, I think I'd have got out. It's somebody telling you either what you should be doing, or if you listen to them and think, I'm already doing it, then you know you're doing it right. It's just a confidence game.
Go.
Finished. That's just, I so wanted to finish, and I'm so pleased that I did, and I think we did reasonably well. It sounds really cheesy to say something like, I wouldn't have finished without Pete, but there was no way would I have, well, it's obvious I wouldn't have finished, so thank you very much, you got me around.
Pleasure.
Coming up after the break, how do the professionals do it? Some evasive driving techniques and 3 of the sexiest coupes. Which is the best?
A short journey in the car. Now for most of us that means nothing more to worry about other than do we have enough petrol and do we know where we're going? But if you're a driver looking after a superstar or a millionaire, then even the shortest of journeys could contain unforeseen dangers.
DriveTech driver training in Surrey is one of the places where professional drivers are taught the comprehensive on-road driving techniques that protect the world's VIPs.
It's not your average person that would require this sort of training. The inquiries we get are from national banks, from drivers of diplomatic personnel and other chauffeurs who carry high-value loads. It's the concern of the threat that if they are carrying around somebody that's extremely rich, that if there is a kidnap attempt, there may be a ransom note to follow, which is going to demand a great deal of money.
Not only do professional drivers learn to get out of a sticky spot, but they also learn to be aware of what's happening on the road around them. Very useful when protecting yourself from people who go to extreme lengths to get their hands on your vehicle and the people you're carrying.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
This is just a routine vehicle check. Is this your car?
It is my car, yes.
Do you know the registration number?
Off the top of my head, no, I'm afraid I don't. I've not had it that long.
Okay, whilst you're stopped, I'm just going to have a quick run around the vehicle, make sure it's fully compliant with the law.
Okay.
Could you just flash your headlights for me, please? Nothing's happening. Yes, great.
Sorry.
Indicator right.
Oh.
Is the ignition on?
No,
Great.
it's not.
And the other side? Great. Side lights? Keep the side lights on.
Side lights are there.
And the brake lights, please. Did you check the vehicle before you came out?
This morning, no, I haven't actually checked it today.
You haven't?
No.
Looks as if you've got a brake light out, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll
Can you try
go
again? Looks as if you've committed an offence in relation to the brake lights. Would you just jump out and I'll just show you that what the problem is?
Okay, no problems.
Right, I'll just apply the brake lights. Can you see them on at all?
No, they're not on.
Oh, you've got the key
Well,
there.
if you point out to me what it is, do
Well,
you need to show me
I
them?
need to prove the offence to you, yes.
Okay, no
Thanks.
problems.
So if you can just see if you can see where the brake lights aren't coming on.
I knew he was going to do that. He's not a policeman, is he now? What a sucker I am. Officer, you pinched my car.
Right. A few outward signs, no epaulets, tyres wrong, but outwardly the appearance is pretty convincing, I guess. Should drive with the doors locked, ideally. And you had the window right down. If you're really suspicious, then maybe open the window less so that
Peep
nobody
out.
could grab you through the window, for example. And yes, if you're in any real doubt, then ask for the officer's warrant card, because it's a disciplinary offence for police not to carry around a warrant card with them.
So, looking after the likes of Bex and Posh isn't simply a cushy job. Apart from changing all those dirty nappies, carrying all those Prada and Gucci shopping bags, you also have to be constantly on the lookout for possible dangers on the road.
The Coupe A. When you think about it, they're the genetically modified experiment of the motor industry, in that they're not a natural progression of the motor car's evolution. They're not a saloon car, but neither are they an actual sports car either. Manufacturers tell us that whilst they are fun to drive and look fabulous, they also contrive to offer a degree of practicality. Well, they've come from nowhere and now they're very much in demand. It seems that the Coupe A is in vogue, and we've gathered together 3 very strong contenders.
The first is the mean and muscular Ford Cougar, a car that's the spiritual successor to that old favourite, the Capri. But whereas the Capri was developed from the Mark I Escort, the Cougar gets its bits and pieces from the much acclaimed Mondeo ST24. So this does promise to be a very entertaining drive. Now, Ford's latest big cat is joined by a perfect example of German engineering. The old 3 Series Coupe was top of the bestsellers list for many a year.
But can it boast the supermodel good looks of the 406? Good looks that came from the hand of Pininfarina, the Italian-style guru responsible for Ferrari. But, and I'm very sorry to have to say this, it is a case of beauty being only skin deep, because climb inside and it's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Average World. On the move, Peugeot's V6 motor does make a wonderful noise and provides plenty of power, even if it is a little on the thirsty side. The suspension, though, is very soft, flabby even, but the French like it that way, sort of bouncy. And it's not without its neat little touches either. The front seats, when folded forward, move themselves forward to allow your passengers in. Then when they're settled in the back, it moves itself back again. Forward. and back.
While Richard plays with his toys, I'm going to enjoy the luxury and the class of the 3 Series Coupe A. Well, real driving enthusiasts say that you just can't beat rear-wheel drive, and this is the only car out of the 3 that sticks to that format. It's assisted by BMW's automatic stability control system. It really is a classic all-round drive, and with the new modern looks of the 3 Series, it makes for a real head-turner on the road.
Which brings us to the Cougar. Ignore the strange geometric shapes and planes that Ford have haphazardly cut in. Ignore the rather spotty headlamps, which I don't quite understand, that is actually repeated at the back of the car. In fact, there's nothing special here at all. It's just a Mondeo with a different hat on. All of these swoops and curves throughout the interior mean that once on the move, as soon as you put anything down, kiss it goodbye as it sets off on a roller coaster journey all over the interior. With the kind of development funds at Ford's disposal, you'd expect the drive of the Cougar to be well sorted. And it is. The ride is superb, a great compromise between sporty and comfortable. It is perhaps let down only by rather dull and neutral feeling steering. And the engine, the V6, although there's plenty of mid-range, it does get rather gutless. And there's no particular V6 howl to it, which is a shame. In fact, the only noise you do have tends to be a huge amount of wind noise from around these front pillars.
The BMW is the prince among coupes, if you can afford it. It drives magnificently, it looks the part, and you know it's going to last.
But it is the most expensive. So, of the other two, the Peugeot 406 is undeniably a very pretty face and a damn fine drive to boot.
As is the Cougar. It really is great fun behind the wheel. The looks, well, I guess you're going to love them or you're going to hate them. A bit like you, Richard, really.
Charming. Next week on The Motor Show, the Renault RX-4 in Morocco. 2 new drivers put some city cars to the test, and if you thought that diesels were noisy, smoky old bangers, then think again. We've got 3 of the very best.